Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good night. Welcome to the workshop at the Things Conference 2021. I'm Marc, I'm developer advocate at Balena.
Hello, and I'm Jose Marcelino, solutions architect at RAK Wireless. Very cool to be here doing this.
On today's workshop, we are going to talk about some gateway fundamentals, like the latest state of the art of the LoRaWAN gateways with the basic station. And then we will show you how to create your fleet of LoRaWAN gateways in a really simple way to do it. Let me show the outline, what we are going to talk today. So on the menu today, we are going to talk about the LoRaWAN gateway fundamentals, basic station, and we will build together. Some of you actually have some hardware. So we will build together the first basic station LoRaWAN gateway right now, here, in some minutes. And then we will show you how to do something else with your LoRaWAN gateways. And finally, we will get into a Q&A. So you live will be able to ask us as many questions as you want. All yours, Jose, with your part of the presentation.
Yeah, thanks, Marc. I'll just give a brief introduction because this is a fundamental session. Just what is LoRaWAN? How does it work? So very brief. So like high level physical. I like giving the physical image of what the network is. Well, the components first. So on the left, we have the nodes. This is what actually captures the data as the sensors connected. Another important element are the gateways. This collect all the radio frequency data from the sensors, and they process it, and then they forward that in a specific format to usually some cloud server, which will contain other elements I'll talk about in the next slide. And finally, what you get at the end of that is your data in a nice way that you can actually process it on some dashboard or analytics solution. So the important thing here is that on the left side, we have this thing with the LoRa radio. This is all using LoRa physical radio. And on the other side, we have an internet connection. On this kind of the layer structure of LoRaWAN. So at the top, we have the application. This is what your own thing, what does it do? Does it show on the dashboard? What data does it want? Then we have kind of the LoRaWAN second level. This is starting to be the standard definition of LoRa. So here the standard says you can have 3 classes of devices. Class A, which is generally what you use, it's just devices which send to the LoRa side, to the cloud, and then wait for a reply. So they're not always on. Then we have class B, which are smarter nodes, which are able to know when the network will be sending data to them. And also class C, which just means the network, the device is always listening for commands from the network side. But you don't need to understand all of this, don't worry. On the regional parameters, this is the way the radio frequencies are defined for the sensors and the gateways. So they need to know, both sides of the communication needs to know which frequencies they're using, so they know what to be listening on and transmitting on. And this is set by something called the regional parameters in the LoRaWAN specification. It just gives us a list of numbers of how things should operate. On top of that, we have the physical layer. This is how the actual radio is modulated, so how the data is encoded in the radio side to meet that LoRaWAN specification. Typical LoRaWAN gateway, like this is the one you should have on your desk, hopefully. And this is a LoRaWAN gateway is kind of it's a complex device, but it's very integrated. So there is one main chip, which is the concentrator chip, which does almost everything except the actual radio side. So that chip talks to a computer device like the Raspberry Pi over some USB or something called SPI bus, and that really, so that listening on all 8 frequencies or more that the LoRaWAN specification defines, listening for sensors coming in, and then it kind of does all the error correction and everything that's needed to capture the data from the sensors. But this is the very, very physical layer. So you talk usually on your device, and in this case we will have the fin, the balena fin, talking with this concentrator card doing all this work. Now I'm moving on to the basic station part of this talk, which is more so I talked about the gateway side. That's kind of the radio, physical things, and on the logical side, we also have all the network servers that are needed for LoRaWAN. So you can see it looks a bit complex, but it's just the modular way this is done. So we have a gateway server, which this is the part which actually talks with the gateways over the internet. And you have to think that gateways don't know what they're not very smart, so they just do whatever the gateway server tells them to do. So it's the gateway server role to know when to send data, which at the precise timings, and what data to send as well. So how is it encoded, encrypted, etc. So it's all done by the gateway server. Then you finally you have other layers, like finally the data flows through the network server and finally exits and connects to your cloud, whatever cloud you use. But on this talk, I'm just mentioning this this part here. So you see, because people don't really care much about this part, but it's really important because it connects the gateways, so the outside world, to your application. So for this part where the gateway connects to the network server, you can have, there are 2 main protocols. So traditionally gateways have been using something called the Semtech UDP packet forwarder. This is the very first protocol developed. It was designed as a proof of concept, not for production at all. But then it kind of took off, became the standard, much to the regret of its developer. So the problem is it has no built-in authentication or encryption, which in today's world is just insane. It also relies on UDP protocol. This means the connections are not reliable, and it is very difficult to cross firewalls or NAT servers, which are very typical in today's internet. And there are also no gateway management options available on this protocol. So what people end up usually doing for professional installs is adding a lot of layers on top of this protocol, like a VPN, server, other like management servers, everything on top of this, making it very complex to deploy. To solve this problem, Semtech and the LoRa Alliance created a new protocol. This is called the LoRa Basics Station. It's kind of a strange name because basics implies that it's it's not very good, but actually this is the latest and developed from scratch for deployment, for mass deployment. And this is now what the Things stack used by the Things network uses as well. It offers both authentication and encryption. So uses standard TLS encryption. It uses WebSockets, so this is built on top of HTTP and HTTPS, so very easy to cross like firewalls and NAT servers, and also finally offers gateway management. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Let's move on to the cool part.
All right, so let's jump into the fun part. So how to manage your fleet of gateways or your gateway, or how Balena can help you to reduce friction creating gateways. Actually, if this is not your first TTN or the Things conference, we have been already here. So actually in 2018, I think it was the first Things conference, we were presenting actually as well with RAK, how to build your own gateway with the RAK A31 with Resin.io. Actually, Balena was called before Resin.io. So if you were there, so you learn how to build your own gateway with the previous RAK concentrator with Resin.io, now Balena. And then 2 years ago with Pi Supply, we did another workshop about remote management of the Things network gateways. This year, we wanted to show you something more. On this edition, we wanted to show you, how to build your own gateway, even in a more simple way than in previous editions, how to remote manage it, how to connect it to the Things stack, which is actually something a little bit different than the Things network. And finally, how to give more functionalities to your gateway, okay, that we will see in a bit. In case that you don't know Balena, maybe you know this software. This is Balena Etcher, and we are actually the developers of Balena Etcher. Balena Etcher is a software to flash SD cards, USB sticks, and so on in a really simple way. And that's what we like to do at Balena. We like to reduce friction on doing simple things. In this case, flashing SD cards, hard disk, or USB sticks. If you have been using Balena Etcher, you know how we do software. And probably most of you say, I'm going to have just one LoRa gateway or one, I have one Raspberry Pi. It's simple to manage. But then when you start having multiple devices, how do you manage that? If you not have the same hardware on your fleet of devices connected, how do you manage that? How do you change the software? How do you improve next versions? How do you solve bugs on your software, on your fleet of devices? And if your devices are not on your table and are spread all around the world, like can happen on a LoRaWAN gateway, right? How do you do that? So this is what we do at Balena. We help companies that are connecting devices, a lot of devices, to manage their software and to easily deploy new releases on their hardware in a really easy way. Another important thing at Balena, it's all the software that runs on devices managed by Balena use Docker containers. We think that Docker containers are really important to develop the new applications on the Internet of Things. And this is why everything that runs on Balena must run on a container. Every device that runs on Balena Cloud needs to run the Balena operating system. The Balena operating system, it's an open source Linux operating system based on the Octo project. And it has some differences with that. So it runs the Linux kernel based on the Octo project, as said before. It has a user space, and then it runs a kind of Docker system for IoT devices that we made ourselves. That it's as well open source, but actually there are some parts that we only provide the binary, that it's Balena Engine. So Balena Engine, it's kind of Docker. And everything that runs on a Balena device runs on a Balena OS on the top of this. So everything will run on containers managed by the supervisor. And these are the products that we have. We have, as I mentioned before, the Balena OS, Balena Cloud to manage all your fleet of devices, the Balena Engine to manage the containers, Balena Etcher to flash the SD cards, or as we are going to see in a second, the compute module of the Balena Fin, the Balena Fin, that is a hardware. If you need a more reliable Raspberry Pi for industrial environment or harsh environment, we built the hardware for that. And finally, we also have Open Balena, which is like the open source flavored Balena Cloud.
So with Balena, this makes it really easy, right, to deploy, because you don't need to understand a lot of Linux management or anything else. And also the containers, I guess, makes everything safe, right, and secure, because if one part has a problem, then it doesn't affect the other parts, I guess. So
exactly.
Actually, I started with Balena. With Balena, my first TTN gateway was using Resin back then, in 2016. Yeah, so
cool.
It's been used a lot.
Building this software on containers, it's bringing this tool that we think that it's very important for IoT developers that run Linux single board computers, because it helps to bring these new tools of software development into the IoT that we think it's important. On the other hand, we don't like the lock-ins. So even if you stop using Balena, you will have a software that can run in any operating system that can run containers.
Because they're all standard containers, right? So there's
Yeah, exactly.
no lock-in. Great.
So yeah, let's stop talking and let's create our first gateway.
Yeah.
So get your hardware ready. As I told before, some of you have been awarded with this. This is a Balena Fin. A Balena Fin, it's like a Raspberry Pi 3 because it runs a compute module 3. So let me get more into more details on the Fin. I told you that this is like a Raspberry Pi on steroids. It's for industrial environments or harsh environments. And why we built a hardware at Balena? We built a hardware because we wanted to help our customers that most of them are running Raspberry Pis to scale in an easy way on this kind of environments. So it accepts different types of electricity from this barrel jack, the Phoenix power in, or as well from the PoE adapter here. On the other hand, you can connect two cameras. And finally, another thing that is interesting is that here, next to where the compute module goes, you have an eMMC. So you don't need an SD card to run, to work with the Fin. Another thing that is interesting, it has an MPCIe here. And something that makes it very different, it's that it runs a coprocessor. But this is it. That has a special GPIO here. And for version superior to Balena Fin 1.1, the magic part is that the coprocessors can sleep in the compute module. So you can get a Raspberry Pi running into very low power energy, 0.02 milliamps. So that's really interesting. So maybe we can get into some examples in other workshops during the Things conference. No worries. If you don't have a Balena Fin with you right now, that's not a problem. So this workshop is compatible with the Raspberry Pi 3 and Raspberry Pi 4. So if at home you have Raspberry Pi 3, Raspberry Pi 4, the RAK 2245 or the RAK, I have all the collection, 2287, you can follow this workshop step by step. But Jose, before getting into the workshop, would you like to explain a little bit more about the RAK 2245 concentrator?
Yes, sure. So the RAK 2245 concentrator is it's a full LoRaWAN gateway. So it handles 8 channels. This is 8 different frequencies of LoRa. So you can be sending on with many devices at the same time. So because it not only does the 8 frequencies, then it also does different spreading factors on each frequency. So the combinations are massive. It's very small, so it's like fits perfectly on a Raspberry Pi. You just connect an antenna and off you go. Very simple.
So maybe what's the difference between the 2245 and the 2287?
The 2287 has a newer concentrator chip, so that it's lower power. You don't really see a bigger difference in most applications, but if you were concerned about power or the heat that's dissipated, the 2287 is a lot better. For the workshop, they work the same, they do the same thing, same listen on all the frequencies and channels, so they're functionally the same.
So before cooking, this is what we have on the menu. I would strongly recommend, first of all, create a balena.io account. Meanwhile, we explain next steps. It's a free account. You can connect up to 10 gateways or 10 devices for free forever. Second, we will deploy this basic station LoRaWAN gateway, and we will connect it to the Things stack. Third, we will add a container actually to this gateway that for me it's very useful. That we are going to add more features into the gateways. We have been showing in the past how to build a LoRa gateway, but with Balena, because it works with containers, it's very easy to give other features. So we are going to show something simple, how to add a container called Wi-Fi Connect into the gateway. How does it help? So it helps a lot because it happened to me. If you have to move your LoRaWAN gateway, imagine that you connect your gateway with Wi-Fi, and you have to move it from one place to another, or you change your Wi-Fi at home. How can you change the Wi-Fi credentials of your gateway? With this container, when the device, when the operating system cannot connect to the Wi-Fi credentials that you gave it in the beginning, what it happens is that it makes that the fin becomes a hotspot. And from the mobile phone, you connect to the Wi-Fi generated by the hotspot, and then you can change the Wi-Fi credentials. It restarts and it connects to the Wi-Fi that you gave the credentials from the mobile phone. Like sometimes in a hotel, no, to connect to the Wi-Fi, you have to do something like this. So that's how it works. The Wi-Fi Connect, and I think that feature will be really interesting to have on our gateways from now. On the final session, if we have time, we will show you some projects that we are working on in order to provide more features or more interesting things on the gateways. So let's start, Jose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, hope that you have created a balena.io account. Let's just start.
Oh, I hope so. I have many accounts there.
Let's deploy the basic session gateway on the things stack. So to do that, I'm going to do it in a really easy way. I'm going to use something new that we have at Balena, but it's a Balena Hub. So I recommend you to go to hub.balena.io. The Balena Hub, it's a marketplace for IoT edge applications. And our goal is that clicking just deploy with Balena, you can install on your Pi, on your Fin, or on all this more than 60 different hardware compatible with Balena, an application on that device immediately. So actually here we have a lot. No, let's not play to Minecraft yet. No, Home Assistant, what is the gateway? Yeah, it's here. So yeah, some month ago with Jose, we built the Things Network gateway with Basic Station. And now for this workshop, we adapted to the Things stack. So we are going to click deploy with Balena. Actually, we see that it's compatible with Balena Fin, Pi 3, Pi 3 64-bit. Actually, at Balena OS supports Balena 3 on 64-bit or Balena or Raspberry Pi 4. Actually, I test this workshop on Pi 4 and Fin. So yeah, it should work. What we are going to show here is that we are going to create a fleet of devices where actually the software of the gateway that belongs to Jose and mine share the same software. Okay, we use different the things stack accounts, but the software it's managed from one unique point. So Jose or me, we can update the software of our gateways, and they run always on the latest version. So let's click deploy with Balena here, and this will redirect us to the Balena account. So I will say that I will create a new application that it's called, let's say, the Things Conference 2021. The device type is a Fin. Okay. And if we untoggle this, we're going to see on advanced, yeah, this can be starter or whatever you have selected. That's okay. I'm not going to get into that. If you toggle on advanced, you're going to see that, yeah, this is the GitHub repo that we are going to copy that actually you can access from Hub. Clicking on read more, you get into the repo. Yep. Okay, with all the instructions as well to install it on the button of deploy with Balena that we see on the Hub. And we see some variables that we need to fill in a second. Okay, these variables work for the Things Network and will work in a bit for the Things Stack. Something interesting, if you have, as I told you, this workshop is compatible with the Balena, with the RAK 2245 concentrator, but as well with the 2287. So if you are here watching this and you have a RAK 2287, the latest one, so you only need to change this model RAK 2245 by 2287 and click the create and deploy, okay? If you do it later, that's not a problem, okay? In this case, we are going to do it for RAK 2245. So I click create and deploy. And what's going to happen here? So we are Balena Cloud. It's creating an application, and it's deploying the source code on this GitHub repo. It's releasing this and creating all the Docker containers into the Balena Cloud in order that when there is a device here, it will download the code that we are releasing right now. So we can see here that it's building the release from that GitHub repo. I'm going to invite Jose here, so I'm going to add member.
Okay.
Jose Marcelino, if I'm not wrong. This is your balena username, right? So I will add you as with full access to devices and applications as a developer.
Okay.
Okay. So we can see the release is running right now. That means that the Docker containers are here built. Next thing that we have to do is we need to add a device, and that will download the balena OS image that we will need to flash into the balena fin. We click add device. We select the operating system type. I prefer, so we are going to use on this demo the balena OS. The supervisor, that's okay. The recommended, we will say production, that's okay. We will say Wi-Fi plus Ethernet. We are gonna create the Wi-Fi. I'm gonna introduce the Wi-Fi credentials because my fin will be connected by Wi-Fi in this case. Okay, now I click download balena OS. So that will download a balena OS, an operating system image with the Wi-Fi credentials inserted on that. Okay, it's downloading. Okay, my balena OS, it's downloaded. And now we need balena etcher. I show you balena etcher at the beginning of this talk, the software to flash SD cards or eMMC memories. Okay, I told you that you have balena fin 1.0. All the instructions are online, but yeah, just to follow this workshop, to flash the eMMC of the fin with a fin 1.0, you will need to connect first the micro USB with a cable to your computer, and second, the barrel jack. If you have balena fin 1.1 or 1.1.1, you only need to connect it with a micro USB. Okay, so let's do it. Let's flash with Etcher. So I go to Etcher, flash from file. I select the thing San Francisco 2021 for fin. I need to connect my fin. By the way, before flashing the balena fin, you need to introduce the compute module on the fin if you already haven't done that. So actually put it here, and you need to do like a click. Okay, now you can flash the fin. Let's do it. Okay, so the compute module now it's initializing, and then the compute module will give us access to the memory, the eMMC that it's on the fin. Actually, to do some more advertisement about balena, we are releasing the balena Etcher Pro. So if you need to flash like dozens of fins or SD cards or USB sticks at the same time, we are getting into the market the balena Etcher Pro, which is a hardware that runs balena Etcher. Okay, select compute module and flash. I need to introduce my password on Marc. And yeah, it's the compressing and flashing. So if you need to flash dozens of SD cards at the same time, we have a hardware. We built a hardware to do that in a really simple way, actually using balena Etcher.
Cool. And can you flash the fins as well?
Sure, yeah. You can flash the fins, and you can flash compute modules as well with tiny hardware.
Great.
But yeah. Okay, now it's validating. Okay, once we will have the fin flashed with no errors, let's hope that, we will unplug the USB, the micro USB and the barrel jack, and then we will connect only the barrel jack to the fin. Okay. Mm-hmm. In case that you are using the 1.1 or 1.1.1, you are doing just a flashing with a micro USB. Just unplug the micro USB and connect the barrel jack. Okay, I have the barrel jack here, and we'll power it up. But before that, I will introduce the RAK concentrator here. And let's power it up. It's interesting to see that the concentrator gets some LEDs on. Okay, that's important, right, Jose?
Yeah, you want to watch out for the green light. So there's going to be a green LED. That's the power LED. So it tells you that it's receiving power. You want that on.
Okay, so if you introduce it properly, the Wi-Fi credentials, flash correctly the Fin or the Raspberry Pi or whatever you are using, at some point you will see that on your application on Balena Cloud, your devices appear. Okay, and once they appear, first thing that Balena OS does is to create a container with a supervisor on the host OS. And the supervisor will connect to the Balena Cloud and will ask, hey, is there any container or is there any application for me? And Balena Cloud will say yes. On our release, we have white water. Is this mine or yours, Jose?
That's yours.
Okay.
Mine's still going online.
Actually, we can check on the, so I'm based in Barcelona. Jose is based in the UK.
How does it know?
Well, I'm not here, so that's okay. But let's check the releases. Yeah, the release succeeded. Check here because sometimes the release failed, and you can see the logs here on the release. So that's sometimes it's really interesting. And now what we see here is that when the device gets created, the supervisor starts, and then start downloading the latest image. I'm going to change the name just to clarify that this is mine. Marc Fin. Okay, Jose, how are you doing? How's your Fin getting? Are you getting the Fin into Balena Cloud?
Yeah, it should be connecting now. Should be.
Let's get fingers crossed that it gets connected. Yeah, cool. We have a Mr. Resonance.
Yeah, so let's see. So excellent that it appeared on the cloud already. Let's click on it. Still says updating, but it just takes a little bit. My internet is a bit slow here. So it's downloading now the main.
It's going to happen like the one that I show, mine, that actually first execution that it does, it gets the Ethernet MAC address, right? And we put it as a tag. So it's really simple to copy and paste the EUI of the device. So meanwhile, you created an account at the things stack, right, Jose?
Yeah, that's true. So once you create there, you get into the nice place. You just go into gateways, get all your list of gateways, and then you can get ready by selecting out gateway, choose a gateway ID. I will call this the RAK TTC 2021. Then you need that UI that will copy from there. Just demo gateway in UK. Frequency plan depends on which region you're in.
In our case, we're in Europe. Well, you're in UK. I don't know if there will be any region. Just joking.
We'll be changing soon. Okay, let's see how this is going. This is still downloading. Almost done. Okay. Cool. And we have the UI now as a tag, which is really convenient. So just copy that. This way, I just put it in the description as well.
Okay. Cool. That's a good idea.
So
that's good.
So I
to see how other people use it.
Yep. And I created. Right. So the next step is you need to create an API key. This is what actually gives permission to the Balena setup to connect to the things network. And this is again like that security aspect of basic station. So you only need to grant one individual right, which is link as a gateway to the gateway server. So you create that API key, then you can copy that. And I'll leave that there for a little while. I come back here to my Balena screen. And now I choose, so I can use it as a device variable. Is that the best option?
Sure.
What do you think? Yeah. So I go here to device variable. I add a variable, which will be TC key. and I just paste that key I just got from the things network. We need to change the TC URI. This is again pointing to the old server. So for that we go back to here. I say I have copied my key. So if you go back to your gateway, you can see the gateway server address there. You just copy that, paste it into the balena, and then you select override here, so you can type a new one.
So WSS means WebSocket secure, right?
Yes, that's right. So you need to add that part. You need to keep that part.
This is what you explain about that the basic station is secure.
That's right.
No, it has the security, the encryption.
Yes, it uses certificates, TLS certificates for everything. But that's already included in the balena image. So we add the root certificates for the things network, which is also the same for the things stack. And finally, we need a port number, which is this part I never remember.
8887.
It is 887. Yeah. So just add that. So now balena does its magic, right? It just updates my device because I set it as a device variable.
Exactly. Every time that you introduce a device variable or you modify a device variable, the device gets restarted with a new device variable.
Yeah. So it should all work. And there we go. We actually, we can see by the last scene that the gateway has connected 30 seconds ago. And it's already ready to go. And
so maybe if you are here, you have already seen the workshop of WizBlocks. If not, probably on the YouTube or on the Things Conference website, you will see the workshop of WizBlocks. Just
how to program it in Arduino. Yeah.
Cool.
But
so
yours is set up, so I guess we can.
Exactly. Maybe we can show this later with the Wi-Fi Connect version.
Okay.
But now, you see how easy it is to get a LoRaWAN gateway. Yeah, so we see a fleet of LoRa gateways in the middle of nowhere, and they are managed by the same software that it's on the repo that we showed you before in the GitHub repo. Mm-hmm. So this is how easy it's to manage a fleet of gateways spread all over the world in a really simple way with a things stack. So now we have two LoRaWAN gateways sending data from LoRa nodes to the things stack. So let's imagine that now you need to change your gateway to another place and you need the Wi-Fi credentials, a new Wi-Fi credentials. How can we do that? So I can tell you some ways to change it with the network manager on the operating system and get into kind of low level on operating systems. Or actually, because it's a single board computer, it's a powerful device, and it's running a Linux operating system with containers. Maybe we can introduce a new container that can manage that for us. And this is what we are going to do. We are going to install a Wi-Fi Connect container, and we are going to show you how easy it's to have a multi-container device running on balena. That can help all your fleet of LoRaWAN gateways to change Wi-Fi credentials in a really simple way. Okay, so we will start from scratch. What does it mean? That before we install the LoRaWAN gateway on the fin from Balena Hub, that was super simple. Click deploy with Balena, and it's super smooth to do this process. It's very. We are going to show you something a little bit more advanced, but it's as well kind of simple. Okay, you will need GitHub credentials first, and you will need as well to install the Balena CLI software in your computer. Okay, I'm not going to show that on the workshop, so if you are watching the replay, it's not live, just stop here and just go to download those or create a GitHub repository account if you don't have it, but let me show you how to do. So first of all, get into your terminal and create a directory. I will say the things conference 2021. Okay, so we have nothing here. First thing that we are going to do is we are going to clone the basic station repository. So yeah, you will need as well the git CLI. So I will say git clone basic station. And next thing that we are going to do, because we are going to need two containers, the basic station and the Wi-Fi connect, it's to clone the Wi-Fi connect container. So Wi-Fi connect balena. If you Google that, you will get into the GitHub repo. And we are going to do the same, actually. We're going to just get these and do git clone. Okay. So now we have, if we do these, we have two projects together under the same directory. Each one has a Dockerfile template. With the Dockerfile template, it's the recipe to build a Docker container. Now we have to create a multi-container device. We need to create a Docker Compose. Okay, Docker Compose, it's a way to tell to Balena that this device has different Docker containers. And I'm going to do it with BI. I don't know if you love BI or not, Jose.
BI is the best, yes. BI is life.
Let's do it. Okay, so let's start creating the Docker Compose. I zoom in a bit this, hope you can see it. If not, the code will be on a repo. So it's a version of the Docker Compose 2.1. Actually, at Balena, we support up to 2.1. I think there are further versions on Docker, but we support 2.1. That should be okay. And then we will say that we have different services. In this case, we have basic station, and we will say build. So because we have the code, it's on basic station folder, and then we have because we have to get access to the Ethernet MAC address. We need to get network mode host. And we will give some privilege. Okay. Now for the Wi-Fi connect, I'm going to paste it from the repo. So if you come here, we explain how to, what exactly you need to get a Wi-Fi connect on a multi-container application on Balena OS. So just paste this here, and we just record this. So now it's time to, if you have installed Balena CLI, it's time to do Balena login. Now with Balena login, you will get the credentials from the web page. I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to do Balena push the things conference 2021. That it's how the application our application on the Balena Cloud, it's called, right? It's the Things Conference 2021. And we have these two devices. Okay, let's do Balena push to the Balena OS application. Maybe if you do it with PI, you can get an error of indentation. Maybe it's good as well to use an IDE to do it, like Visual Code or similar. Just a recommendation in case that you get errors when you do Balena push for problems with the indentation. If you don't have problems, the code will start releasing into the Balena Cloud builders. Okay, so after some minutes of Balena push, now if we see Charlie the unicorn that you see here, that means that. Sorry, say again.
It's a good sign, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So seeing a unicorn, it's always. I think it's always a good sign.
I love it.
Actually, what we see here is that we deploy the basic station and the Wi-Fi Connect containers, both containers that we had on the Docker Compose. We see both devices. Let me get into yours. Oh, let's see the look in the map. Yeah, I will get into yours. And we see that, so now we have the gateway with a very useful new container that it's a Wi-Fi Connect. So in case that you change the gateway from your house to another place that needs different Wi-Fi credentials, so what is going to happen, it's really simple. So the FIN or the Raspberry Pi will see that, the Wi-Fi credentials doesn't match with anything that it's on their network manager files. So it will start creating an access point. So from your mobile phone, actually, you will be able to get into this captive portal of the Wi-Fi Connect container and just introduce the Wi-Fi credentials of the new Wi-Fi of your place. And then the access, well, the device will stop the access point and connect to the new Wi-Fi. That's simple. And actually, we didn't have time, but next thing that I wanted to show you, but I just challenge you all in the audience to do it. It's to make this a smart bird watcher together with the LoRaWAN gateway. So yeah, so what's a better place, no, to put a LoRaWAN gateway than a tree? Make a bird feeder and have like some containers taking pictures of and doing bird face classification with edge impulse, which it's actually on the Things conference as well somewhere. So go to listen to their talks. Make some bird classification. Get pictures of your of the birds on Telegram on your phone. Wow. Meanwhile, the same device is a LoRaWAN gateway.
Yeah, that's incredible. So it doesn't affect anything. It still works fine. And yeah, just because you have a lot of CPU, right? You can run a lot of stuff in there. Yeah, makes sense. Sounds like fun. Yeah, let's make it a challenge so people come up with crazy ideas for gateways. That's cool.
So just to connect with other workshops and talks on the Things conference. So this workshop, it's Tuesday morning here in Europe. But other workshops that are interesting, it's SwissBlocks. But another one that it's pretty interesting, it's about Blues IO, that it's making a LoRaWAN gateway with the same basic station connected with cellular connectivity and a RAK concentrator, right? So don't miss it. Absolutely don't miss it.
Yeah, it's good. And the cool thing is they're all using basic station, right? Because it's the best one for cellular. It doesn't drop like UDP drops on cellular, so it avoids a lot of problems.
Yeah, so there were some problems, right, with the UDP connection of the.
Yeah, because cellular networks are always have a NAT network address translator in the middle. Actually, have sometimes several levels, and they time out the connections very often. So then you just lose connectivity, and you don't know why, because it's deep inside like a cellular network you don't have access to. So this way uses UDP TCP, so it's all the connection is maintained, so everything is there.
So let's wrap up the session, Jose.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We started with like an introduction to the LoRaWAN, what are gateways, and our basic station is the new cool protocol to connect them to the cloud. How it's been designed for that. And we introduced then how to create that very easily in Balena. Just with the click of a button from Balena Hub. It's incredible. No effort at all. You just fill in 2 fields and you connect it to the new Things stack as well, which is also excellent. And then, Marc, you showed a great example, just adding more services to the gateway, adding Wi-Fi Connect, which is really useful. All based on the Fin, which is also a great device, very robust, industrial. All sorts of, you can feed it with lots of voltages. It doesn't. Yeah, it's great piece of hardware. And then why not add more services to the gateway, because you've got all this CPU there. The basic station uses less than 5% of the CPU, so you've got a lot of room to play with. And why not categorize birds? Sounds good.
Exactly, with edge impulse.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I think that was all. Let's get ready for the Q&A. Hope that there are a lot of questions.
Yeah, hope so. Look forward to that.
Okay. See you now.
Thank you all.
Let's read you.